Hi, and welcome back to DIY Relationship Repair. Let's talk about how to kill a relationship. When you know how to kill a relationship, you know how not to kill a
Right.
relationship. So let's talk about some relationship killers. The first one is resistance. Resistance means those things that go unsaid, the little left unsaid because you're not speaking up. You're hesitant or resistant to saying how you really feel. You're keeping it inside, and that is going to play a big part in your relationship, and it's eventually going to turn into resentment. Then you get to resentment, you start resenting your partner because you didn't speak up, and then that turns to rejection. That's how you kill a relationship. So let's talk about resistance first. Maybe Thad can give us an example of
Yes.
resistance in a
So
relationship.
resistance would be, geez, I wish you wouldn't talk to all of our family and friends about our finances. That's personal. She shouldn't be sharing that with other people.
Right. Now he thinks that in his head, the husband's thinking that, but he doesn't speak it. He doesn't
Right.
say. He doesn't say, "Hey, can we have a conversation? I felt really uncomfortable today when you were talking about our finances with everybody. I felt embarrassed."
Yep.
Especially finances too, because that's something that especially men, they like to be the providers, and so when you're talking about your finances with people, it kind of emasculates that masculine energy,
Hmm.
and you're basically telling people that he can't provide for us. He's not doing a good enough job.
Right. So it's really about holding back from having that conversation. So rather than
Hmm.
actually talking to your partner, it's just kind of you're resisting the conversation.
You're
And
like, I'll just let it go.
yeah,
Forget it. It's not even worth it. I don't want to bring it up.
right.
And that resistance then it leads to resentment.
Right.
So what would the how does that progress then
Yeah.
into resentment?
So resentment is more, you know, oh, great. He's talking to everyone, or she's talking to everyone about our finances.
Again.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, it, it really irritates me. I wish that she wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and then you start to get resentful
Yeah.
about your partner. Like, you know what? He's a jerk.
Right.
I'm
Why is
so
that
sick of
jerk
him.
sharing all of our news with the world?
Right, and it's like, oh, here we go again. And that's because you never spoke up. You never gave your partner an opportunity to know that that was something that was actually bothering you.
Right.
And now it's turned into resentment, and it's starting to really weigh heavily on your relationship and how you feel about one another.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's resistance when it turns to resentment. But then if you let this resentment go, then it turns to complete rejection.
Right.
Talk to the hand.
Yeah, and that becomes, whatever. I don't even want to talk about this. This is ridiculous. Maybe he can talk to his brother or parents about our finances when he's living with them.
Yeah, exactly. Because now you're complete rejection. You didn't speak up initially, and then that little tiny seed grew into resentment,
Right.
and that resentment now is a fight. It's rejection. It's I
Yeah.
hate him. He tells everyone about our finances. I can't stand it. I'm so sick of this. I don't want to be with him. I don't want to be around him.
Right, and so these kind of stair steps, so it's an escalation process,
Hmm.
and you don't get right to that.
To the rejection right
Yeah, you don't
away.
get to rejection right away. It's over time. There's resistance, and then resentment, and then the rejection.
That's
And
right.
so I think it's worth noting that if you can circumvent all of that and knock out that foundation of resistance by
Well, with the antidote, so the antidote to not speaking up and to not being resistant is communication.
right clear and effective communication.
Right. Just saying, before it turns into anything like resentment or rejection, just saying, you know what, can we have a conversation?
Yeah.
I felt really uncomfortable when, and notice I'm saying I, not you. You're an idiot. You talked about our finances. No, I'm saying I felt uncomfortable when everyone heard about our finances and how we're struggling. That made me feel, embarrassed. And then that gives your partner the opportunity to step up and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
Like in my family, we always talked about finances. It was just an open book, so I never realized you cared.
Right. And so that the alternative to that non-effective communication would be you talk to your family about our finances again.
Right, exactly. And another tool that we offer to our couple clients too is called what we call daily discharging.
Yeah.
So daily discharging is when you sit down with one another. Actually, you can do it over the phone too. We often do it on the phone
Yep.
if we're traveling or whatever. But it's just when you sit down and you're fully 100% present for your partner and you discharge everything about your day, whether it's positive or negative, and your partner gets to sit there and be fully present and non-responsive.
Right.
So if we were discharging,
Non-responsive doesn't mean
right, not asleep, just they're not saying anything.
right.
They're giving you a safe space to discharge your verbal
Right.
whatever in a safe environment where it's non-judgmental and you're not trying to fix
Yeah.
or correct
It's not
or
about finding a solution to what they're telling you. That's for
Right.
sure.
It's about literally just sitting there and listening and being fully present. So you could start by doing a formal discharge session where you sit in front of your partner. So Thad and I would be sitting facing one another, looking at each other's eyes. And if I'm the one discharging, I'm just going to say, I was so upset when you talked about our finances and I felt mad and angry, and I might start crying. Or my daily discharge might just be, I had such a great day with you today and everything was so fun and that was the best thing ever. It's not always negative.
Sure.
The idea is to spend some quality time with one another, allowing each other a safe space to communicate and to say whatever it is. Now, your partner might say something like, I was effing pissed at you today. How the hell could you tell your parents about our money issues? I am so angry. And again, you're not saying anything.
Yeah.
And it
Well,
can be really scary if they're saying these things, but your job is to literally just sit there and be fully present.
right, and that's difficult for a lot of people.
It takes
I think.
practice.
Yeah, so to just sit and absorb all that is very difficult. So there's a pro tip that which is to give some feedback, but you're only acknowledging one, their feelings, and two, how that situation must have been for them. So you're acknowledging what they're telling you, but you're not giving any feedback or solutions.
Right. So I see how upset you are.
Yeah, or it could be, oh my gosh, that must have sucked.
Yeah.
Even if it wouldn't have sucked for you, it sucked for your partner, and so you're acknowledging their feelings and how they
You're making your partner feel
interacted.
valid. You're
Yeah.
validating their feelings, even if you don't agree. And that's another thing too. Like, you can validate the human, even if you disagree. And if only people in politics would do this, life would just be so much happier on Facebook.
Right.
Understanding that you can validate a human being and you can love and care about a human being even if you
don't agree.
Right. And so validating the person doesn't mean you're validating their choice, their behavior, their beliefs. It just means that you're saying, I'm here for you. I'm showing up for you as a human.
Right.
And if you do that in your relationship, it really, really makes the other person feel safe and secure. And again, like that, they have that emotional freedom, like we talked about in the human needs, that emotional freedom to really be who they are. To
Yeah.
say, you know what, you're saying, you know what, it's okay that you were upset about me talking about the finances.
Yeah.
That's okay. I recognize that. And because I'm an adult in this relationship, the relationship roles, because
Right.
I'm an adult in this relationship, the fact that that was upsetting to you is upsetting to me, and I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, and the cool part is once you acknowledge that or understand that you're only acknowledging their feelings of the situation, it takes a lot of pressure off of you, especially if they're discharging about something that you did.
That's
It's
right.
not about you personally, it's about their feelings on that situation. So you're able to I know for me personally, when someone starts critiquing something that I've done, I want to get defensive. But really, that it's not about that. It's about listening and receiving that information, and then later on, you can go back and process and handle it and figure out ways to do it differently.
And I'm glad you talked about being defensive because we're going to talk about that in the next video. So let's do a quick recap. So the best way to kill your relationship is to not speak up,
Right.
which turns into resentment, which
Right.
then blossoms into rejection.
Yep.
So if you would like to kill your relationship, please do those things.
Resist communication.
Yeah.
Become
Resentful. Yeah.
And
then reject your partner completely, or they reject you. And the antidote for all of that is discharging, communicating openly. Now, partners, if you're the one, listening, make it safe for your partner. So if Thad's telling me something, I'm not trying to fix it or solve the problem. I am simply listening and validating how he feels. That's it. So listen to your partner, make it safe for them to tell you absolutely anything. And that's how you become best friends.
absolutely.
That's how you're best friends. Because you know how you can tell your best friend anything? Well, this is my best friend and I can tell him anything. And even if it's about him or if it's negative, he makes it safe and okay for me to do that. So make it safe for your partner. Don't resist having conversations. Speak up. Don't let your resentment turn into rejection. And don't kill your relationship.